Thank you and welcome to District Health Department number 10's PowerPoint presentation on the dangers of teenage vaping. At the end of the PowerPoint, there will be a list of resources for who to contact if you have questions. There also will be a link to our evaluation. We'd appreciate if you take the time to fill that out. Listed here are the topics that we will be discussing today in our presentation.
You hid your vape underneath your pillows.
Yeah.
And you would come and smoke how often?
Oh, I couldn't go longer than like 10, 15 minutes without hitting it. It was so addicting. I brought it with me everywhere I went.
Seema Herman never expected that what she thought was a harmless habit, vaping, would end up nearly killing her.
It took 2 days for my lungs to fail, and I almost died.
The 18-year-old going viral with this photo from her hospital bed, a tube still pumping oxygen to her failing lungs. In her hands, a call to action.
Asked for like a pen and paper because that was the only way I could communicate. And I wrote, I want to start a no vaping campaign. That was the first thing I did when I opened my eyes.
Seema's story is just the latest in a landslide of incidents linked to vaping, sparking what many officials are calling a national health crisis.
What we've seen in the course of the past, let's say, month, is an increased number of people who are coming in with respiratory problems as a result of vaping.
So far, the Centers for Disease Control report more than 450 possible cases in 33 states of lung illness associated with vaping. And 6 deaths have been confirmed in California, Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, Oregon, and now Kansas. Last Friday, the CDC issued a stark warning. If you are vaping, no matter how old you are, you should consider stopping.
Like, I didn't think of myself as a smoker. The vaping just makes it seem like it's nothing, like you're doing nothing wrong.
Seema was in high school when she started vaping nicotine.
I was 16 the first time, 15 even, the first time I bought it at the smoke shop. I went in and I was like, can I get a pack of Juul pods? And they were like, how old are you? And I said, 22. And they were just like, okay. It ended up becoming my oxygen. I couldn't live without it. I needed it all the time, every day. But because all of my friends were doing it all the time and no one else had symptoms that I had, I wouldn't even have imagined that maybe this is killing me.
On August 15th, when Seema's dad rushed her to the ER.
I said, go fast. Don't let me close my eyes. Don't let me fall asleep or I won't wake up.
Now, why did you say that?
Because I knew I was dying.
You felt death on you.
Yeah. It was terrifying. The worst part was I couldn't let it, like, my parents watch it happen to me.
But hospital staff couldn't figure out why Seema couldn't breathe. 2 days later, doctors had to put her on a ventilator.
I was begging them, vent her faster, she's going to die. And it was terrifying.
It was in that agonizing moment that Seema's cousin revealed her secret addiction.
She said, you know, she smokes every day. I said, what? What are you talking about? She said, she smokes every day. She smokes that vape. I said, you tell the doctors right now. You go tell the doctors right now. And I ransacked her room and I found all the vapes. They look like gum wrappers. They look like little candy wrappers. They look like little cute mascara wands.
This progression is so fast.
Dr. Catherine Melamed is a pulmonologist at UCLA Medical Center. She worked on Seema's case.
This was Seema's chest x-ray when she came into our hospital. These hazy white areas here at the base, at the bottom of her lungs, just show that she could have a pneumonia. But what you can then see is if we choose an x-ray from just less than 48 hours later, whoa, now her lungs, all of this white haziness here is inflammation. From just day 1 to day 3 is remarkable.
Dr. Melamed is on the front lines of what health officials fear is an emerging crisis. The National Youth Tobacco Survey found a 78% jump in e-cigarette usage among high school students alone, but any research on the impacts of vaping lags far behind.
Part of vaping is heating oil and then inhaling that oil. And that's not something the lung is used to inhaling. And so with that comes an inflammatory reaction that then produces phlegm and sputum and gives the lungs sort of that wet cough phlegm property.
That sounds terrible.
Yes.
And dangerous.
Yes,
Last month, 17-year-old Tristan Zofeld described how he spent 18 days in the hospital fighting for his life after vaping.
I woke up just throwing up everywhere, and my heart was just pounding out of my chest, going 100 miles an hour.
Tristan lost 15 pounds and said he had to relearn to walk. And just yesterday, a Texas teen had to be rushed to the hospital after vaping at school.
He hit it, he passed out, and he would not wake up. Like, he was not waking up.
In Wisconsin today, a man was arrested for making thousands of illegal THC vaping cartridges.
Don't do it.
The state of New York is taking an aggressive approach in an attempt to find answers and crack down on black market products.
You shouldn't be vaping products that clearly you don't know what you're smoking or you're vaping.
Many vaping products are popular with young adults and teenagers, but no company has taken more heat than Juul, the industry leader. The company says it's designed to get adult smokers off cigarettes. But just this week, the FDA sent a warning letter to Juul accusing it of illegally marketing its nicotine vape products as safer than traditional cigarettes without proof. Juul responded, "We share these concerns about youth vaping." It adds it shut down its Facebook and Instagram accounts and recently began deploying new technology to verify IDs.
Is this her? Yeah, that's her. Yeah.
But Seema's mom blames the whole industry for trying to hook kids early.
The fact that they market this crap to children and they turn it into pink, pretty purple packaging candy pisses me off.
There's a lot we don't know about the both short-term and long-term consequences of vaping. And so I would just say, don't.
In the weeks since Seema has worked to rehab her lungs, she still feels that pull to pick up the vape.
Now I don't necessarily crave the nicotine. I don't necessarily crave the weed. It's just craving like the act of smoking. So that's been my hardest thing, of like staying away from it.
But she hopes that going public with her story can keep her and countless others like her alive.
What would you tell somebody who's under 18, who's thinking about vaping and says, I'm just going to try it one time to see what it's like?
I would show them my pictures and say, I tried it once too. And then I tried it another time and then another time. It's just remembering that you don't need it. Like, it's going to kill you.
For Nightline, I'm Adrienne Bankert in Los Angeles.
There are many factors that influence youth tobacco use: curiosity, friends and family, and the widespread marketing towards youth. According to the CDC's National Youth Tobacco Survey, more than 27% of youth have used a vape or e-cig product in the past 30 days. As noted on the previous slide, vaping in the past 30 days has plateaued or decreased. However, lifetime use is still increasing. According to the 2019 Youth Assessment Survey, 34% of youth have used an e-cig product. That's 10 out of a classroom of 30. And 19% are current users. That's 6 out of a classroom of 30. Electronic nicotine delivery systems, otherwise known as ENDS, are products that produce an aerosolized mix of liquids that are inhaled by the user. These products include e-cigarettes, personalized vape, vape pens, and e-hookahs. E-cigarettes and vape pens are comprised of the following components: a battery, an atomizer, e-liquid, a cartridge, and aerosol. All-in-one disposable units are popular among youth. They are discreet and easy to conceal. They are also the only devices that are pre-flavored. Other products that are refillable come in menthol and mint. Popular brands such as Juul, Sornin, or Posh are popular amongst teens. They are cheap, they're easy to conceal from teachers or parents, because they look like other school items, like highlighters or a flash drive. As vaping progresses, we are seeing new products on the market that make it easier for youth to hide and conceal their usage. Backpacks, hoodies, and hidden compartments seem to be some of the unique products that we are seeing on the market.
E-juice, or vape juice, is the fluid used in e-cigarettes to create vapor. It's made of 4 main ingredients: vegetable glycerin, propylene glycol, flavoring, and nicotine. Vegetable glycerin is an additive found in food, cosmetics, and pharmaceuticals. According to OSHA material data sheet, it is not meant for inhalation as it causes irritation of the upper respiratory tract. Repeated or prolonged exposure may be harmful to kidneys. OSHA recommends that it be used in a space with adequate ventilation and to avoid breathing any vapor or mist caused by the product. VG is what affects the cloud production of the vapor while the user exhales. Propylene glycol is a solvent used to absorb extra water and maintain moisture in certain products. PG is what affects the flavoring in e-liquids. Although it is found in food, PG is not meant for inhalation. It can cause irritation of the upper respiratory tract, and repeated exposure can be harmful to the central nervous system. Chronic use may cause lactic acidosis, a buildup of lactic acid in the bloodstream resulting in lower blood oxygen levels. A person experiencing this may have nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and tiredness. High consumption can also lead to seizures. OSHA recommends that it be used in a well-ventilated space and to avoid breathing the vapors or mist. It also states to avoid excess heat as it can change the chemical structure. One study reported users experiencing upper respiratory irritation within 1 minute of inhaling aerosolized PG. Long-term health effects are not clearly defined. Some preclinical studies showed asthma development and pneumonia. There are more than 7,000 flavors made from chemicals that can cause damage to the lungs. Most products are safe for use in food, but have not undergone safety testing for inhaling as an aerosol. Most studies on occupational exposure have shown that these chemicals are not meant for inhalation. Some vaping habits or improper use can result in burnt coils, which can release particles that are potentially toxic. Repeatedly using a vape at high heat or not following manufacturer recommendations can result in flaking of solder joints and coils. This can expose users to breathing in heavy metals such as iron, nickel, silicate, aluminum, tin, and silver. Nicotine is the highly addictive chemical found in the tobacco leaf. It acts as a stimulant of the central nervous system. It is toxic and environmentally damaging. It can be fatal if swallowed or absorbed through the skin. Many of the e-liquids on today's market contain 3% to 5% nicotine. In 2019, there were 5,356 calls to poison control due to exposure to e-liquids. Many of those calls were due to children drinking the e-liquid.
It's important to understand that everyone in the world has addictions, or rather natural addictions, to things that are good, like food, water, and sleep. These natural addictions are important for our health and survival, and without them, we would not hunger or crave the things we need to survive. Now, we aren't exactly born with these natural addictions. Our body creates them. Let's look at an example. When you bite into an apple, your brain says, "Yum." Your brain recognizes that this apple is good for you. It has nutrition, vitamins, and gives your body the energy it needs to survive. Whenever the brain recognizes something that's good, it releases a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine causes you to experience pleasure. It's what makes you feel good, like when biting into an apple. The brain releases this dopamine in order to teach the body that this is healthy and good for your survival, and that it should remember to do it again. Now, there are other things we do that can release the pleasurable dopamine, like playing video games, exercising, or reading a good book. However, the amount of dopamine released during these activities is less than what's released when we eat food. The brain does this so it can recognize which is more important. So if you go 2 days without reading a book, or 2 days without eating food, your body is going to crave the food over the book. As such, your brain creates what's called a hierarchy of survival, which ranks how important each of these things is to your survival. Now, there are some things that will not cause the release of dopamine, like eating soap or punching yourself in the face. The brain knows that these things are not good and therefore does not release the pleasurable dopamine because your brain does not want you to do it again. Now, let's look at alcohol, marijuana, tobacco, and other drugs. These are all classified carcinogens, proven to cause cancer and other fatal diseases. Now, your brain should recognize that these things are harmful to your body. However, these substances have special chemical characteristics that fool the brain into releasing dopamine, oftentimes in much greater amounts than the body has ever experienced before. Because of this, the body is fooled into thinking that these things are good and important, sometimes even more important than food, water, or sleep, and consequently hijacks the #1 spot in your survival hierarchy. So now, if you go 2 days without eating or 2 days without drinking alcohol, your body will actually crave the alcohol over the food. This is an extreme case of addiction, where the person addicted believes that they will die if they don't get it. The severity of the addiction depends on where the alcohol or drug lies within your hierarchy of survival, and can increase even with casual use. Research shows that people under the age of 21 are at the highest risk of having their survival hierarchy hijacked. Why? Because their brains are still growing and developing and are hypersensitive to false shocks of dopamine caused by these harmful substances. By 21, the brain is more fully developed and mature, and the survival hierarchy becomes more permanent and less susceptible to getting hijacked. The flip side is that once you are 21, it becomes very difficult to remove these harmful substances from your survival hierarchy. Studies show that 9 out of 10 people who currently struggle with addiction started drinking, smoking, or using before the age of 21. Understanding addiction as a preventable disease can help save millions of lives. The decision to wait until 21 could mean the difference between a life enslaved by addiction or a life full of success and accomplishment. Want to learn more? Visit us at wait21.org.
Research from the National Institute of Health shows nicotine use during adolescence increases the risk of developing psychiatric disorders and cognitive impairment later in life. Different portions of the brain mature at varying speeds. Early exposure to nicotine can reduce brain activity and negatively affect concentration and memory, as well as the cognitive, self-control, and decision-making strategy portion of the brain. Sapphire nicotine packs are a simple and easy to use concentrated nicotine solution that can be added to any 0 milligram e-liquid. Available in varying concentrations, they make it easy to add nicotine to any size bottle. E-juice comes in varying strengths. On this slide is some of the most popular e-cigarette brands among youth, and the concentration of nicotine found in their e-juice. The diagram on the side shows the recommendation from a vape store on what percentage of nicotine a user should use based on their smoking habits. As you can see, the 5% concentration is recommended for heavy, 1-pack-a-day users. Youth e-cigarette use has been linked to increased alcohol and marijuana use. Youth who use e-cigarettes are also 8 times more likely to use regular cigarettes. Since e-cigarettes were released on the market, there has been limited regulation, impacting the quality of devices and e-juice. A lack of regulation can put users at serious risk. Some of these risks include pneumonia, asthma, cardiovascular disease, skin disorders, seizures, disorientation, poor oral health, and hypotension.
There has been several hundreds of incidents of e-cigarettes exploding. Some incidents are because the vapes are cheaply made. There are user and operator errors, such as not following manufacturer's guidelines, like charging too long or using the wrong charger for the vape, or also if the vape has too much exposure to extreme heat or cold. 1 in 4 high school teens who have used e-cigarettes have also tried a new vaping method called dripping. It's dropping e-cigarette liquid directly onto the hot coils of the device to produce thicker, more flavorful smoke. This is most popular when teens want to have competitions on who can produce the biggest and best smoke clouds or who can perform the best tricks. Juuling is the most popular vaping term. The first Juul came out in 2015. Their mission was to improve the lives of 1 billion adult smokers by eliminating cigarettes. While claiming to help adult smokers quit smoking cigarettes, Juul has created these colorful and lively ads which can be misleading and target young adults. Big Tobacco has a hand in vaping products. You can see how Big Tobacco has changed over time. Here are some legal updates. In December of 2019, Tobacco 21 law was signed raising the federal tobacco age to 21. In January of 2020, federal flavor ban was signed, making it illegal to sell pre-filled cartridges in any flavor except menthol and tobacco. Michigan has not yet modified a state law delaying enforcement, so currently the FDA can only enforce the Tobacco 21 law. There are legal repercussions for selling to a minor. Off-the-street THC vaping products, typically pre-filled cartridges with THC-containing liquid, are inhaled with a vape pen. They may contain unknown and harmful additives, ingredients, pesticides, and toxins. These unknown substances can result in death. Dabbing is one of the methods for using cannabis, in particular, cannabis concentrates. People who dab discuss this method's perceived benefits as creating a more intense high and providing a healthier method of using marijuana than smoking it. Dabs are generally about 70 to 90% THC. They produce a very potent high that comes on strong and fast and peaks over the course of half hour to 45 minutes. People have been known to pass out or get couch lock when they dab the first few times. Couch lock is a strong physical sedation caused by weed. It usually leaves people feeling extremely relaxed and sedated, so much that they literally feel locked to their couch. The most popular concentrated forms of dabbing are shatter, crumble, wax, or oil. Vape or hash oil pens are a type of vaporizer designed specifically to vaporize cannabis and oils. They are called pens because the compact design of the vape device closely resembles that of a traditional pen. The chamber of a vape cartridge is filled with oil, which contains concentrated amounts of cannabis. Unlike a standard vape pen, which is designed for compatibility with vape cartridges filled with oil, a dab pen is used to consume dabs, which can be defined as an unspecified dosage of concentrate. With this type of pen, users are not limited to cartridges and can consume many forms of concentrate, including wax, butter, and shatter.
Thank you for joining us for the dangers of teenage vaping. If you have questions about this presentation, please do not hesitate to contact us at the phone numbers listed on this slide. We've also included some helpful websites should you need more information on teen vaping. Thank you again for joining us. The evaluation can be completed by visiting the link listed on this slide, or use your cell phone to scan the QR code attached.